Okay, so if you spend time focusing on what is positive right now, that in itself lowers cortisol, which is the stress hormone, and helps to focus on the immune system.
Yes, healthy thoughts in general. Like placebo, thinking healthy thoughts and thinking that you will be healthy is real.
Everyone has been talking about the coronavirus lately. But what is actually a virus, and how does it spread? How does it impact our bodies, and what can we do to prevent it from harming us? These are all some of the questions that we're going to talk about in today's episode.
The word virus comes from Latin and it means poison, and they are everywhere. Did you know that just 1 liter of seawater contains 100 billion viruses?
Obviously.
That's a lot of viruses.
100
billion. I had to Google this morning. 10 billion bacteria and 100 billion viruses. So they're everywhere, but we're not susceptible to them. And not everyone is equally susceptible to viruses as well. And the purpose with this podcast is to make you that is listening feel a little bit more safe, because I kind of want to summarize all the things I know that I can do that are quite simple to make our immune systems stronger and more resilient to viruses in general. And also a little disclaimer is that none of us are doctors. We are health enthusiasts. And so this is not meant to cure coronavirus or anything like that. But it is some things you can do to strengthen your immune system.
The things we are doing.
The things we are doing. Yeah, that's beautifully put. So I'm here with, as always, my beautiful, healthy, tall,
beautiful,
very beautiful friend, Erik, the founder of Great.com, one of my best friends, and the co-person I'm doing this podcast with.
Well, thank you for that introduction, good sir. And I'm here with Emil, who is the host of this podcast, who is also the person who got me interested in health in the first place. He's a bit of a health maniac. He's the reason I eat lots of pills every day that I don't know what they are. We might go into that today. I don't really know what he has in store. Either way, he was the first one joining me into Great. And together we're doing the becominggreat.com podcast. A podcast for people who wants to make the world a better place and believe that entrepreneurship and personal development are ways of doing that. And hey, today we're talking about viruses.
Hey.
And I got a question that I don't know if you have an answer to.
Interesting.
So there are good and bad bacteria.
Yes.
So we have tons of good bacteria in our bodies.
Mm-hmm.
Are there good and bad viruses?
That's a very interesting question. I don't have the answer to that. No, I don't know if viruses live inside of us, because the bacteria live inside of us. Viruses are not really living. They're not. That's why you can't really kill a virus, because it's not alive in the first place. It's just a ball of genetic code.
Okay, it sounds like we need to start with, what is a virus?
That's a very good question. So it's basically just a ball of information that is wrapped in a fatty layer. Okay. So what the viruses do is that they can't really do anything on their own, but they can get into your body and inject information into your cells and then make them do all kinds of evil things, like producing more viruses.
Okay, so it's like a tiny little thing that jump into our bodies one way or another and then go into our own cells and hijack them.
Exactly. And they can't really jump per se. They don't have legs, they don't have wings. So the main way the coronavirus spreads, for example, is when someone coughs or sneezes, and then that goes with water drops in the air and then into someone's nose.
Or mouth.
Or mouth, yeah.
Or eyes.
The virus looks almost like think of it like a tennis ball.
Okay.
And then it's the yellow part of the tennis ball is a fatty layer. And then the fluffy things, that sticks to stuff.
Okay.
Yeah. And each virus targets a specific body tissue. And the coronavirus specializes in the lung. So it goes through your throat and into the lungs and then sticks to those cells because they are a match to them.
Okay, so if someone coughs, it's like they're coughing out billions of teeny, tiny little yellow, fluffy tennis balls. And then someone else either breathes them in or get them on their lips or on their hands and then touch their mouth and stuff like that.
We probably touched our face already in this podcast. It's hard to get out of the habit. And just right off the bat, I wasn't going to say this now, but the main thing for coronavirus is to wash your hands. And I just saw a cool video that you need to wash your hands for 20 seconds. Because what soap does is that it dissolves fat. And think of the coronaviruses, the yellow part of the tennis ball. Think of that as a fat layer. So when that dissolves, the virus just annihilates. It dissolves.
Okay.
And you need to wash your hands for 20 seconds at least for that to happen. Otherwise, it doesn't dissolve.
Because it takes 20 seconds for soap to take the yellow fluffy thing away so the virus disappears into nothing.
So you actually, when I thought, wash your hands for 30 seconds, it's like, come on, that's what my mom told me. But it actually makes sense because it takes that long for the fatty layer to dissolve.
Okay. So a virus is like a teeny tiny tennis ball that you cough out and it goes into your lungs and then it hijacks your cells. What does it get your cell to do with corona?
So it injects its information into the cell and it tricks the cell to use the body's own resources to multiply itself, create more and more coronaviruses. And after a while, the cell just dies and it explodes out the coronaviruses that goes to other places and is doing harm. And it's also tricking your body's own immune system to attack the lung cells, which is causing havoc. But that's a little bit of overcourse.
Okay, so the tennis balls goes into other cells and they turn those cells into tennis ball factories.
Yes. Now, the good thing is that we have a system that is preventing this, which is our immune system. And that's kind of like immigration. If you're coming to...
tennis ball immigration.
Fuck, I got stuck at immigration in the US once. It's so tilting. Anyway, annoying. That's poker language. Anyway, so we have a system that is designed to identify which things that don't belong and then get them out or kill them. And that's our immune system. And depending on how strong our immune system is, that depends on how much chance does these little tennis ball have to get in, hijack your cells, and then multiply exponentially.
Okay, so the better our immune system is, the better we're defended against it. What's the main factors about the immune system then?
Well, I have written down 5 for the purpose of this podcast. And they are age, your genes, your stress levels, your gut flora, and your nutrition.
Okay.
And your sleep. Yes.
So 6.
So 6 would, yeah. And some of them are difficult to do anything about, especially short term, like your age or your genes. I think you can modify them a little bit, but maybe not within the time frame of this pandemic. So I would like to focus on stress, nutrition, and your sleep. And then I would like to ask you, because I know you're a person full of hopefully life hacks only and not tennis balls.
As far as I know, no tennis balls.
No tennis balls, let's hope. You're always looking for ways to improve your well-being. So what are some of approaches you have to reduce stress?
Stress is something that I'm constantly battling with. And I think that stress happens when there are too many things we either want to or feel that we have to say yes to. Because we don't want to let other people down or ourselves down or boss down. So we end up saying yes to more things than we can handle. And I've been doing this a lot. I've been saying yes to far too many things, and I constantly do. So for me, the most crucial thing about decreasing stress is decreasing the numbers of yes that I say to anything. The better I get at saying no, the better I get at checking in with myself. Do I really have time to do this? Do I really want to do this? Am I capable of doing this? And the better I get at saying no, regardless if that's to maybe dinner with friends that I actually don't really have the time to or want to prioritize right now, or if it's a new job thing, or just today, a friend of mine who's living in northern Italy, who is the most, currently when we're recording this podcast, more or less the most damaged area of all due to Corona. And asked me if I wanted to do a live streaming with him and interview him what's going on. I was like, it's a very interesting thing to do. And still I feel that can't really keep up with all the other things on my agenda right now. So I said no to that, even though it felt like something that would be very beneficial for both me and for the listeners and my followers elsewhere. But just getting good at saying no, I think that's the most crucial thing when it comes to stress. If you're good at saying no, I think you're almost immune to feeling stressed.
Yes, I agree. And this gave me a reality check because I'm not the best at saying no. And you made me realize where. Because you said in the beginning that you're saying yes to too many things that you want to do or that you say to yourself that you have to do. I thought, oh, those are two very different things. And the have to do's, of course, create more stress. But then I looked into my life and I thought, I have a lot of ideas in my head that I tell myself that I want to do. I don't have to. But when I have too many creative ideas and things that I want to do, those are actually causing a lot of stress as well.
By just being there.
Yeah, and just having those ideas and not saying, okay, I want to do this thing, but it's not going to happen. Can I put it aside for now and maybe go back to it later?
Yeah, I feel the same way. When my list of things that I want to do becomes too long, even if I don't do them, they're still there and they're poking for my attention.
Yeah,
so it's important to kind of just realize that this is not going to happen and tear it up and throw it away.
Yeah,
because it's causing stress just by not being done.
Yeah. So, how much stress would you say the whole pandemic is causing you for now?
It's causing me a lot of stress. Partly because the stock market is crashing and I'm losing a lot of money. Partly because it distracts our team a lot. So it takes away attention from building great.com and everything we want to do. Partly because I feel a big responsibility about communicating about this. I want to educate all of my followers about washing their hands, for example. I want to take responsibility in this, and I'm not an expert, which makes it really hard. And whenever I'm posting about it, I get a lot of negative comments. There's a lot of people out there who really don't want to hear anything else about Corona, who's so tired about Corona already. And yeah, it stresses me out that I don't know how to deal with it. So I've been sleeping poorly lately in general. I'm worried about the world. I'm worried about how many people will suffer and die from this. It takes a lot of my energy. Every day I'm updating these different graphs that I've been doing, looking into each country, how they're dealing with it. And this podcast is being recorded on the 20th of March. I'm not sure when we will release it, but at least for now, it starts to look like Italy, South Korea, Iran, especially China, who has been the most damaged countries, are getting it under control. And that puts some ease at me that if you take a lot of actions, you can put it under control. But I feel a lot of stress about all of this.
Yeah. That's understandable. I think especially when because you want to keep track, because you feel that responsibility to be updated about it all the time. I see how that would cause stress.
Yeah. And this is not something I can say no to, really.
Yeah.
I want to say no to Corona. Stop Corona.
Yeah.
What else could I do?
Well, I think it's tricky because my temptation is to look every day how the world is doing. And at the same time, I'm thinking, is this really helping me? Like, because I feel like I've researched and got a basic understanding of what I can do as an individual. So my approach that I have chosen to take in the last 2 days is to look at the stock market, look at the development of the situation, maybe once every couple of days or once a week or something. And then for the other part, try to make my world a little bit smaller. So instead, I focus all of my energy, as to the extent that I'm capable, because I'm affected as well, of course, on how can I make people around me feel better, feel safer? Can I call my grandparents a little bit more often? I've been reaching out to people and saying, hey, can I do some kind of favor for you? Just those small things, because I think what is causing stress, well, what I realize causes stress for me is that I automatically get into a kind of self-preservation mode. Like, how can I protect myself? And I think that by default is increasing cortisol, increasing stress, and then ironically making me more susceptible to the disease itself. Like, the instinct is to pull money out of the market. And that effect will have that the market is crashing if enough people do it, right? So the self-preservation is kind of creating the thing I don't want to happen. So I try to do the opposite. I try to, when I feel stressed, like, how can I add value to something outside of me? Because I think that does something psychologically.
So to start looking for how can I contribute, and in that way decreasing the focus on the negative, which would decrease the stress.
Yeah, it decreases the self-preservation mode a little bit.
So there is a lot of talking about quarantine right now, stay inside, isolate yourself. How do you think loneliness plays into all of this? How does loneliness affect our immune system?
I think it plays a huge role. I mean, we're social creatures, and I've seen studies, and I'm not sure how well you can study this, but that shows that being isolated is worse for your immune system than smoking a lot of cigarettes, for example. And I'm not sure how true that is, but I can guess that when I'm with my girlfriend, for example, I just feel how I go into sort of restoration mode. I get full of these good chemicals like oxytocin, like serotonin, and those lower our cortisol. They lower our stress levels and put our body away from fight and flight and into our more restorative system. So I think it's very important to try to keep your social distancing, of course, but try to stay as connected as you can to the people that matters the most.
So how would you do that then? To me, it sounds like you're saying, go hug everyone right now, because it's good for your immune system.
Well, how could you keep contact with people? Because I think words of affirmation, I think you can show love in many ways.
Yeah.
Right? Even without the touch. Yeah, do favors for people. Like, I'm very lucky to be quarantining with my girlfriend. So that's super lucky. But still, like, call people. Tell them how much they mean to you.
So are you doing that? Are you calling people more than usual?
I have called, yeah. I made a list.
You made a list?
Yeah, of people that I have made it halfway through that list. Yeah.
Oh, who are on that list?
I started with.
Called me.
I started, no, but I do meet you. You're part of my quarantine bubble.
Yeah, I'm part of it. If I get sick, I'll bring you down.
Yeah. And I think another way to combat loneliness actually is all kinds of spiritual practice, because I think that makes you more connected to yourself. And that's the primary relationship that you will always have. So every night before we go to bed, me and my girlfriend, we do a gratitude practice. We're taking time to think of things that we're grateful for. We're taking time to think about things we have done well today. So we boost our self-esteem. I think all of those things that makes us feel good about ourselves and the world would have a very good spillover effect to the resilience of our immune system.
Okay, so if you spend time focusing on what is positive right now, that in itself lowers cortisol, which is the stress hormone, and helps to focus on the immune system.
Yes, healthy thoughts in general, like placebo, thinking healthy thoughts and thinking that you will be healthy is real.
Yeah, so basically now when I think about it, stress is basically our body's response to danger, like the lion on the savannah kind of thing. And if there is a lion on the savannah, we cannot really focus on viruses because the lion is more important than corona.
Yeah, exactly.
And if we believe that there is a lion all the time, which is stress, we are not building our immune system. But if we're instead focusing on what is good in life, what is good in the world, we don't focus on any dangers, and our immune system can build up.
Exactly. Like beautifully summarized.
There's
no point in trying to use your immune system to ward off small little intruders when there's a big cat in front of you, right? So and that's why you do visualization, I know, in the mornings, for example.
Yeah, and I do this. I focus on what I want to happen in the world or in my life. I sit for a couple of minutes and just visualizing a day into the future or years into the future, what I want to experience, what I want to happen. Yeah. It's another way of just calming myself and seeing positive things.
Exactly. And in those fantasies, you're probably happy and healthy, and the mind can't really distinguish between your fantasies and realities. So it thinks it's there, and then your body is responding accordingly, sending out the same hormones, sending out the same neurotransmitters.
Okay, so to sum this up a little bit then, stress, not good for your immune system. You can lower it by being better at saying no to things. That's a good start.
Yes.
Saying yes to less things. You can lower it by actually being connected with other people. And in times of isolation, that's very good to do over the phone. Call your parents, grandparents, old friends, get together. Maybe go for walks more so you're actually socializing outside. And if you're in a love bubble with your fiance or girlfriend or whatever, be there because you're probably gonna infect each other either way. And spend time on being grateful and meditate and do different gratitude practices. All of those things decrease stress, increase immune system.
Exactly. Spiritual practice is more important than ever.
You mentioned nutrition before.
Yes.
What about nutrition? What can you do to boost your immune system with food or whatever?
Something interesting about viruses is that they are not all active. So some viruses, those little tennis balls, they float around in our body and they do nothing. They just wait and wait and wait until the system is weakened, and then they attack.
Okay.
And there are some things that are causing these latent viruses to become more active. And that can be poor nutrition, it can be times of stress. I think a perfect example of this is the last big pandemic we had, which was the Spanish flu in 1918, that affected a quarter of the world's population and killed between 20 and 100 million people. We're not really sure. And this happened in 1918. And what happened before that was a war, First World War, super stressful event for the entire world. And people didn't have access to fresh food. So the soldiers and many people had to eat canned food that was saved. People had to eat dog food. Like there wasn't fresh food available.
Okay, so people had really bad diets, meaning that their immune system had went down. So more or less all of the world's population were more susceptible to this virus.
Exactly.
Which is one of the reasons why it hit so badly.
Exactly. There wasn't enough manpower to have good food production.
Okay, so today then, if we can access good food, what is good to eat?
Okay, so there are some vitamins and minerals that are very important for the immune system. And I would say that the one that is the most important is vitamin C. So vitamin C is very antiviral. If you have a cold, for example, vitamin C will decrease the time that you have a cold. It can protect you against certain lung viruses. It increases your white blood cell count. It does a lot of very good things for your immune system.
Okay, and where do you get that? I know oranges. What else?
Okay,
that's always something
interesting that you bring up oranges because, well,
that's the go-to solution that I've heard all my life. But there's a lot of vitamin C in orange juice.
Yes, and a lot of sugar.
Now, side note.
You can get it from a supplement, but I wouldn't recommend that because that is ascorbic acid and that is produced artificially.
Okay.
I would rather get it from food, and some very good sources for it are like green leafy vegetables, bell peppers, berries. For example, a bell pepper has 3 times as much vitamin C as an orange. So 1 deciliter of bell pepper will cover your daily need, which is about 80 milligrams.
1 deciliter. What's bell pepper?
Bell
Isn't
pepper.
that
You know
like a
the
spicy
paprika?
thing?
No, it's not the spicy thing. It's the big ones.
Okay, so a paprika, like
Paprika, yeah. I think they're called bell peppers in English.
I would say paprika. We're going with paprika.
Okay. Swedish word for bell peppers. Yeah.
No, the English word as well.
But a really cool superfood for vitamin C that I have found after a study that was done at Cornell's University is what might be the most vitamin C dense food in the entire world. Can you guess?
Dum, dum, dum.
I've told you this before, unfortunately.
But I don't know the word in English, so I'm scared. Sauerkraut?
Sauerkraut, which is fermented cabbage. And the researchers found that fermented cabbage, especially the red one, can have a vitamin C count up to 300 milligram per deciliter.
Which is a lot, I assume?
Yeah, so your daily need is 80 milligrams.
Okay.
So like a deciliter could cover almost your weekly dose. And I think it depends on how it's fermented and stuff, but
so more
either way.
The Germans should be immune then.
They should be immune. And also that fermented cabbage contains a lot of probiotics, which is these good gut bacteria that we talked about before. So that will also strengthen your immune system.
So sauerkraut is a good thing to eat in general when you want to boost your immune system.
Yes, I'm eating it almost every day now.
Both for the gut bacterial flora and for...
And for the vitamin C, exactly.
What else?
Vitamin D, I would say as number 2. And many viruses, by the way, have as a strategy that they're attacking the receptors for vitamin D and vitamin C and makes us less able to utilize these vitamins.
Okay, so they kind of tennis balls that clog up around our vitamin C and vitamin D places.
Pretty much. And so that shows how important it is for the immune system to function as well.
Yeah.
And vitamin D, you can almost look at it almost more like a hormone than a vitamin. And it's a regulator for our immune system. So it's very, very important. And that's another point of the isolation. Like yesterday, we had the first sunny day in Sweden, and it was 8 degrees. Do you hear that, guys? 8 degrees and sunny. And I was in the sun for hours just to soak up that vitamin D. The best place to get it is from the sun, but you can get it from supplements as well.
Okay, no specific food for that?
Cod liver oil, I would go for that.
But that's basically a supplement because no one would just go and eat cod liver oil.
You can get it as because cod liver oil is good for another supplement I would recommend, which is vitamin A. You can get both A and D from cod liver oil, and I buy it as a bottle, virgin cod liver oil, and I drink it. It doesn't taste too much. There's lemon in it.
Sounds horrible.
No, it's not too bad actually. And the reason I want to drink it is because if you buy off-the-shelf cod liver oil, especially if it's a low-quality brand, that could be rancid. It could have gone bad. So if you taste it, I know it's fresh.
It sounds horrible. I'm going to trust your word for it.
It's not too bad actually. I have it in my fridge and have a sip. It's not too bad. At least not the brand that I have.
Okay, so that's the health part then.
Yes.
So let's sum that up. Eat more sauerkraut, eat cod liver oil, be out in the sun when possible.
Yes. Other important micronutrients are selenium and zinc. You can get them from seafood. Vitamin E is very important. You can get that from nuts and seeds. I would also drink apple cider vinegar or lemon juice. I do that every day. Turmeric is very good. It lowers your inflammation. And the number 1 antiviral thing, can you guess what that is?
No.
Garlic.
Garlic.
I would regularly eat garlic.
So that's good for corona and for vampires.
There are no vampires.
There aren't?
Don't tell anyone.
Okay, garlic. Yes. Okay, so that was a long list. Turmeric, garlic, cod liver oil, sauerkraut, selenium and zinc, which is just pills then.
You can get it through pills. Also, seafood is a very good source.
Seafood in general.
Yeah. Zinc, I think 4 grams of liver contains your daily dose of zinc.
Okay.
So liver, by the way, is probably the most nutritious food there is. There's a lot of good stuff in it. I'm yet to find a way to cook it in a way so it doesn't taste horrible. I'm getting there.
Okay.
Yes.
So eat all of that stuff and you're at least improving your chances of staying healthy.
Exactly. And making sure your immune system can quell the invasion of those little tennis balls before they start to multiply exponentially.
Okay, so eat this and you'll get some really good tennis rackets that can just beat the ball straight out again.
That is precisely the point.
Create a little Pete Sampras and Björn Borg and John McEnroe within your body that just beats the crap out of the balls.
Yes. And we're back, and we want to talk about something you said you were struggling with during these times, and that is sleep.
Yeah, I think sleep is such an underrated thing. I think that's so important for everything. And to be honest, I don't know how important it is for the immune system, so I guess you will tell me. But for pretty much everything in our body, sleep is essential. And I used to try and life hack my body into sleeping less until the realization that nature doesn't do anything in vain. And nature wouldn't have invented this thing called sleep, which is basically not procreating, not collecting food, and being very easy to harm for lions by just being passed out.
Nope.
So I realized with those things that it's super crucial. And I'm struggling sleeping right now because I'm stressed up in general. And what I'm doing to at least ease it out is that I'm doing no work whatsoever after 8 o'clock, which I usually try to do less of. I'm turning down all lights after 8 o'clock, at least as much as possible. And I have not flight mode, what's it called, night shift on my phone and computer and all other screens that I'm watching to stay away from blue light. And at least it makes it better, but I'm not sleeping well at the moment. So what else? What am I missing? Or what is the impact on the immune system on less sleep?
I just want to add a comment on the first thing you said, that I tried to make myself sleep less. And one tricky thing about sleep is that we don't really have a good system we don't have a buffer for sleep. So in the book Why We Sleep by Matthew Walker, that I really like about sleep, he showed that they tested students, and if they lose a night of sleep, there's no real way for them to fully get it back. Even if they sleep more later, that will still have a negative cognitive effect on their performance in tests and stuff. So nature doesn't have a buffer for sleep. You can't sleep extra first and then you lose it later. And the reason for that is that there are no animals that are willingly depriving themselves of sleep. Humans are the only animal that is doing that. So the idea that you should sleep less, where do you think that comes from?
Performance. You want to work as much as possible.
Yeah. Yeah.
Get the most shit done.
Exactly. I had that mindset as well. And that, like, the less you sleep and still function, the better off you are and your life is, and you're going to get more productive.
Which is simply bullshit. So does sleep then increase stress levels? If you don't sleep, does it increase stress levels? And that's why it has a negative impact.
For sure. Increases stress level. You will have higher cortisol. You will have more cravings for sugars and sweets. That is also lowering your immune system.
Okay. So sleep more in general.
Yeah.
Prioritize sleep in scary times.
Prioritize cuddling as well. I think oxytocin, the cuddle hormone.
If you have someone to cuddle with.
Yeah, if you have someone to cuddle with.
This is not a time for Tinder.
Maybe that was me. Quarantine time.
You're too much in love right now.
I am. If you can. If you can. Yeah.
Yeah.
Prioritize downtime, I would say. And another thing that
what do you mean with downtime?
Yes. More relaxation time in times like this. I think the reason I don't have a great answer for how you can deal with your sleep problems right now is that it is a tricky time. Yeah. I think it's so hard for myself as well to not be affected by what the world is going through globally. So maybe this is not a time where we can expect to be as productive as always. Maybe this is a time where maybe I need to sleep 1 more hour per night so that my psyche has time in dreamland to deal with all of this stuff that is happening.
Yeah, I liked something I read on social media somewhere. Someone who was pissed for people complaining about what the impact of this will be on the economy. And he's like, this is the purpose of economy. The reason why we have good economy is so we can deal with shitty times.
Yes.
This is now, the economy's job right now is to be shitty. Because that's when we need it the most.
Yeah.
And I think that made sense. It's like the reason we work hard, the reason we do things is not to buy luxurious crap we don't need.
Yeah.
It's to be able to deal with viruses taking over the world.
Yeah, so if you like this type of conversations, if you would like for more people to hear our message about how to make the world a better place, especially through entrepreneurship and personal development, the main thing we would like for you to do to help us is to go into your podcast app and press subscribe. Because if you do, that will greatly increase our chances to get into different podcast apps, podcast top lists. Because the reason for that is that if you're in the top list or not, it's not dependent on your total amount of views, which is good for us, a tiny podcast. It has more to do with the ratio between listeners and subscribers. So that we would very much appreciate.
Good. Thank you for today.
Thank you. This was fun.
Stay healthy.
Yeah. Oh no, Corona high five. I tried to
Corona elbow.
Corona elbow.
Boom.
Schluck.
See you guys later.
See ya.
Cheers.